Good morning and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, so get ready to get triggered. Good morning and welcome to the Raben Report. I'm your host, Elliot Raben, and with me is part of my expert panel, Marshall and Daniel, and special guest, Briar. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you
for joining us, Briar.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to be here. Let's get into it. Unfortunately, we miss Adam today.
So Adam is not here, unfortunately. Hopefully he's watching. He's actually in Chicago. He is, what's he doing in Chicago?
He's doing voter outreach to kind of engage, or voter engagement, I suppose, to engage young people in Chicago to vote in the midterm elections.
Right. So good luck, Adam. Hopefully he visits the White House, maybe gives a tour. Oh, no, he's not in Chicago. He's not. Sorry, he's not in D.C. I haven't slept.
It's really tough for Canadians to get a tour. Even if we're in D.C., yeah.
How come?
Or for anyone who's not American to get a tour, rather. You have to, because they put Americans to the front of the line, and there's like a big line, so.
They think we're...
I'm sure there's a White House in Chicago that he could go to.
There probably is a White House, yes, yeah.
Go to the Shameless House.
So. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone watches the show Shameless.
I don't, but I'll
great
trust
show.
your judgment.
Very good show.
Yeah, great show.
So, now, as for Spirit Live rules and regulations, all opinions expressed on the show are not those of Ryerson or Ryerson faculty and are only those of the individual commentators. Viewer discretion is advised. So this season, we're going to be changing things up a tad. As mentioned on the last show, based on viewer feedback, we're going to, starting this episode, extend our news recap to last the entire show. We're going to try it out, see what you guys think. If you like it, we'll keep going. If not, we'll stick to our original concept of having one main topic. So let's get to the questions. The first topic is Jordan Hunt. So Jordan Hunt is well known for, and make sure to be commenting on each of the topics. We've got 3 topics for you today. The first story is Jordan Hunt, who kicked a woman in the head at a pro-life / anti-abortion, however you call it, rally in downtown Toronto. First question, what was his motivation? Like, what prompted him to kick her?
Well, specifically, actually more broadly is what I'll start with is, he showed up to this pro-life protest, as he's done in the past, actually. He's notorious within, as I've learned, within pro-life what do you call it? Activism for showing up to these protests and engaging protesters in a less than kind way. And so he's accosting this protester. He's asking her what she thinks of various things, and he finally says, if a woman is raped and she's 16 and can't have the kid, his words, should she keep it? And then he kind of like gave her a thumbs up and a thumbs down, letting her, showing her what her options are, and then sticks his tongue out, winds up a kick, and just goes for it, roundhouse kick. Actually, I will compliment his technique because it was, a solid kick. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, actually, and I was somewhat impressed with his form there. But yeah, absolute scumbag, terrible person. To do that over that is just ridiculous.
I think after he goes to jail, once he tries to become rehabilitated, he should definitely open up a dojo or something. That's a very prosperous thing.
He actually turned himself in, eh?
That's good. He should. That's a pretty shitty thing. He got fired from
his job too.
Good. Mm-hmm. It's a shitty thing to do.
So, Briar, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, obviously it's all been said. It's a shitty thing to do. It's not cool at all. I mean, yeah, I don't know this guy. I don't want to know him. And I think it's good that he turned himself in. But that doesn't make him any cooler of a person or braver of a person. It's just, I mean, I guess if the kick is that notable, he probably would notice it was him anyway.
And so the next question, which I'll start with you. What do his actions demonstrate in terms of, to the public, to other activists, to, pro-life activists, anti-abortion activists, however you call it, because people will, call it whatever they want, but,
Yeah, well, I mean, I think now he's given other activists a bad name as well, just because that's not how everyone acts. Everyone has their own opinion, and some people can express it in a better manner, but I mean, that's not right to do in any kind of activism, not necessarily abortion. I know that gets people pretty like rallied up. It's a huge topic, and it always has been, and I guess always will be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have a joke. It's not an abortion joke, but it's a joke my mom said. You know the hockey store, Pro Hockey Life?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my mom says, what if you're pro hockey choice? Okay, anyway, that's where I'm going to stop my... Thank you.
That was good.
Sorry. Also, one thing I like to point out with this Jordan Hunt person, I think he looks. I don't know if you mentioned it, but I saw the little necklace he had on his thing, so he's probably a Satanist of some sort. As like a little pentagram on his necklace.
Oh, yeah.
And he might not
Very-
even be a Satanist, but he at least has some sort of
Mental problem.
some sort of
wants to-
overlap with the Satanist.
Yeah.
But he doesn't mind being seen with
Yeah,
that, too,
exactly.
is something where it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
And you know what does it say? I think we look at these pro-choice counter demonstrations that happen so much against pro-life demonstrations, and we see violence. I do at least, and I see people stealing material.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the literature or the signs. One thing that we saw last year, and I think we talked about it on the show last year, was a woman who went into the SLC, the Ryerson Student Learning Center, for those who don't know. It's like a big building where students hang out. And there was a pro-life kind of table set up with literature and information. And this woman live streamed herself going and, taking all the literature and throwing it in the garbage and trying to push
I remember
the
that,
protesters out and screaming at them and stuff. And she was so unhinged, so hysterical. And then we saw another video come out of somebody from the Ryerson Reproductive Justice Collective.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Oh, okay.
And
I don't want to have any spoilers here.
Yeah, no, sadly, I know the person that did that.
I do too.
So it's very disheartening because I was friends with them.
Yeah.
But after I saw that, I was just appalled. I'm not going to mention their name
Yeah,
out of
yeah, no
privacy,
names.
but regardless of what you think, and I say this all the time, regardless of what you think of of the other side or of their signs, because I'll be honest, I find the signs disturbing, right?
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I'm not big on the signs.
Yeah, at the same time, they're allowed to be there because they're on public property, and it's kind of iffy blocking them because you kind of have, I guess, you have a right to block them, but they also have a right to be there. But when this person attacked somebody who was just standing there, it was really, really sad. So I'm very disgusted by their actions, and
It's just always interesting that the people who are the most violent aren't the ones that have the controversial idea. It's
Because it's not controversial to be pro-choice.
No,
at
it
all.
isn't.
You
No.
can you can say you can put your hand up in class and say I'm pro-choice and nobody bats an eyelash. If you put up your hand and say I'm pro-life in class, oh boy.
You'd be like, you'd just be exiled pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it's a
It seems
social
like
suicide too.
that's like one of the worst things you can say in a university. Really, is that you're pro-life or that you in any way disagree with current abortion legislation. But oddly enough, is the majority of Canadians do disagree with current abortion legislation. But it becomes so culturally ingrained, the way that we have legislated abortion laws. And that really does say something about whether culture is downstream from politics or whether politics is downstream from culture. I believe it's a bit of both, but I believe that law does morally legitimize things in a very superficial way.
Yeah,
Not that I
I
actually
definitely-
think moral law informs morality, but I think that we often allow it to.
I would agree with that because I would say that we've seen it time and time again throughout history where laws are made and the general public, I guess the majority from said country, they will agree with that notion, but that doesn't make the law morally just,
Mhm.
right? So an example we have like with the South Africans with this new laws for what's the word I'm looking for? Not reformation, but
For
Reparations.
Yeah, reparations. Sorry, and it's just ridiculous. Or even like these new laws that are happening right now with Ford's like anti-free speech laws or whatever the hell they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very interesting how hostile people are when you say something that like goes against the grain, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, the South Africa thing is you can't say anything about that, or else people, oh, they're colonizers, they deserve it. Well, geez, I mean, Nelson Mandela, as much as Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, he wouldn't have approved of this. You know,
I'm
he
gonna
wanted.
jump in for Adam. Hot take.
Well, I mean, he was. I don't feel bad. I don't feel like that should be a controversial thing to say, but.
But you know what it makes it sound like though is like, oh, it justifies.
The end justifies the means.
No. I'm just saying like these new laws, they legitimize and justify oppression of white people from black people. So it's like, oh, like almost like, hey, it's our turn now, and it's
But
like that doesn't like how is that a solution?
Oppression of white people? That's not a thing. That's
illogical. By
what are you living on Bizarro World? What's wrong with you? Is it opposite day, Hugo? I didn't mark that on my calendar.
I don't know.
What do you think, Briar?
About oppression or about the
Well,
abortion?
do you know what's going on in South Africa? I guess we're kind of on a diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were kind
on a tangent here.
But
No, I haven't heard as much about it actually.
but then let's circle back to what we were talking about and just what's going on because back to the original question, what do his actions demonstrate? I mean, obviously we've seen Jordan Hunt do it, and then we saw somebody on our campus do it.
Yeah.
And Jordan Hunt did it twice. There's 2 videos of him in 2 separate occasions
yeah,
doing
his
it.
face looks familiar.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So are we gonna call him Jordan Punt?
We could. Well, people are calling him Cuck Norris, which I like.
Yeah, that's even better. That's better. Yeah, any bad names you can think of are fine.
I agree. I totally
yeah,
agree.
I know. I actually didn't know much about the on-campus one. Like, I didn't hear too into that.
We're gonna discuss
Which
that
is-
after though, more in detail, right?
Which
Is that what
one?
you said? You wanted to talk about that more?
Yeah,
The Ryerson thing?
yeah. Go say a little.
Oh, I
Please,
just wanted to mention it. That's
okay.
really
Oh,
it.
okay.
Like you can probably find the video
Okay, sure.
online.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video.
But keep
and
in
then we'll
mind
show
the
it.
video says the individual's name on it.
So I'm
And
gonna
so-
zoom in just to the clip, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna hide the name.
What should I Google? Ryerson
Uh,
University kicker?
Yeah, Ryerson University,
Student.
kicker. I don't know.
Student kicker.
St-
I feel
That's
like you're gonna
probably-
get a lot of weird searches, just like soccer team or something
Yeah.
like that.
Is it there? Can you find it?
Mm,
I know it's on Facebook somewhere, but
Yeah, I've never seen this video, but
Could it-
I heard about it. I
yeah.
just never saw
Well,
it.
anyway, regardless if we don't find
I'll
it,
check, but
yeah. I mean, then the last question is really, how can we stop this from happening? I'll start with happening again, should I say? I'll start with you, Briar.
I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to stop it. It's gonna happen, unfortunately. I mean, it shouldn't, but it is. It's as much in this world is like bad things happen. I think maybe having like protesters and activists with certain rules or areas where they can do this, or maybe like reach out places where you can go to learn about either side of things, and not allowing them to publicly go and share these opinions. Because I mean, not regardless of whether sometimes the images are graphic for the abortion one, we'll just say sometimes you don't want to see that, and some people might be triggered by it, and it's they don't want to have that at school. So I'd say maybe just have certain places where you can go, and I know there already are, like you can talk to people about abortion, and obviously doctors will give you things and will give you information and stuff. So just maybe being more educated about the subject as well, because I know there is abortion in the abortion law. You're not killing a life because it's not alive yet, but there's so much that people should just know before they go out and talk, and opinion against fact.
well,
So-
I gotta go back because
yeah.
of the title.
So we gotta. True.
I gotta wait until the
Yeah,
title
yeah.
gets off. So
So we got the video up
There you
here. Just move the microphone out of the way. There we go. So and just move your head out. Okay.
sorry.
So as you can see, you'll recognize the person if you know them, but I mean we're not going to show their name. There's the person who's walking up to see and then starts kicking destroying the signs. And you can see them throwing stuff right there. And that's the pro-life, she takes stuff out of the bag and destroys it. So... I mean, they mentioned the name in the video, but...
She just grabbed
right?
her. I didn't even...
Yeah,
I didn't watch the full video.
Yeah, it's and then kicks one more thing.
Jeez. They kicked the water bottle again.
Yeah. So, and now the person is, crying, and then they laugh at her and they say, "Oh, somebody's upset," right? And it's like, well, yeah, I mean,
Take it
you
off
just
the
kind of attacked her
Is it off?
and destroy. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened.
I didn't actually see that. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I never
You know
saw
what?
that.
What's interesting
That
about it
happened.
is
That was posted 4 days ago.
Yeah, and so
Mhm.
somebody posted that.
Sorry.
Oh, it's back on.
Somebody posted that on the Ryerson accepted Facebook group.
Yeah, that's the person.
And-
That's where I was getting it from.
And so a lot of the comments said, "We don't know what started this. We don't know why she reacted that way." No, I mean we can see clearly in the video exactly how it started. We
there's
see
so much
her
context to
walking
see.
right up to it
Mhm.
and kicking the person's sign, and then getting violent right away. There's a
Yeah.
full unedited clip that I haven't checked out yet, but
And there's I'm big on context, right? So there's obviously unprompted. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, and the context is very important. We don't get it a lot of the time. We really do get it here. And we have two comments from Sam, who says, "You know what is more graphic? Killing babies." Can't disagree there. And he also says, "Those counter-protester signs are sometimes clever. I'll give them that." And he is right there too. They are like the Ryerson Reproductive Justice Collective. They make some good signs. And
Like the control delete one.
Yeah.
That one's not bad.
yeah,
I like that one.
It's not bad.
Like error 404.
It's artistic and it's clever.
It's funny because I'm just rewatching the clip and you see like this person like they attack the first group over there and then the second group. So like you can see like a certain level of premeditation towards committing this crime because it is assault. Like I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it either.
And regarding Elliot's question on how we can stop this from happening is Briar made a good point, is education, but also exactly what just happened with Jordan Hunt. That's how we need to stop it. He was publicly shamed and
Yes.
lost his job, and he's now been arrested as of today or yesterday, I believe. And
Yeah, but even though I guess we, in one sense, they're shaming the person by posting the name of the girl that's in this video. I still don't think she's gonna be like shamed though, because there's gonna be so many
Yeah,
people.
There's gonna be
that
supporters.
there's so many people that
Absolutely.
politically
Yeah.
align with her, and they're gonna be like, you know what? Sometimes you got to do that to bad people,
Yeah.
especially if they have like sick ideas.
It's
like
the whole-
that.
It's like terrorists and murderers. Like there's people who support them as well. So
Yeah.
it's like that only helps them, the
Yeah.
publicity, but also it has people like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but secondly, the culture needs to change, and one problem is how people look at being pro-life as violence. And I've heard this many times before. These people are violent, and I see all the warnings. So the Ryerson Reproductive Justice Collective, I don't know what's a short form for that. I don't know, whatever.
Ripic.
They always talk about violent protesters, anti-choice protesters. I mean, I've never seen them be violent.
Yeah, no.
Every
and
time,
of course, this
yeah.
is totally anecdotal, but I have seen the pro-choice protesters be violent, and I think that
Yeah, this is not a first.
yeah. It's a massive stretch. It's not even a stretch. It's just a lie to say that they're violent just by virtue of them protesting. If they're violent, then they're violent. But their protests are not violent. Holding up graphic images is just that. That's not, I'm not condoning the graphic images, but I
Yeah.
am saying definitively that it's not violent.
Like by that aspect, I would say the principle of them being able to be on campus is the same principle that you would use, especially for people who are protesting some sort of war that's happening outside of the country, right? Like, and they show graphic pictures of children being bombed and stuff like with Syria and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They love showing those graphic images.
Graphic images are used by all sorts of
Yeah. So like, what's the
political
difference?
camps, yeah.
What's the difference in
it's,
that
it's
aspect?
kind of like Big Mouth. Like
Yeah.
it's just
that awful show.
we were talking about the show earlier before our show.
What did you want to compare it with? Like
No.
just how like graphic they're.
Just the stuff they're showing. No,
Mhm.
I don't watch that show, so I
Okay.
don't really know much about it. But
So let's move on to the next topic, which is Taylor Swift.
oh,
So,
yes.
For
This
those,
brave soldier.
yeah. So Taylor Swift has. Adam just commented. He says, "Love you guys. Miss you so much. A day without you all is like a year without rain."
What a sweetheart.
He might be
Should've
referencing
quoted
Africa
Taylor
by
Swift
Toto.
instead.
I'm sorry. I thought of Selena Gomez first.
I
I
feel
thought
like
of Selena
everything
Gomez.
Adam
I'm sorry.
says. I just feel like everything Adam says is a reference to Africa by
Yeah,
Toto.
basically.
So you really never know, honestly.
Africa by Toto is to Adam like Celine Dion.
If anyone has Adam on Instagram, I should think they should give him a permanent option to put like a third option on his polls. That would just be Africa
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
Toto.
I agree.
So it's like it makes sense.
Always. So Taylor Swift, for those who don't know, she basically had a rule for herself that she would remain quiet about her political views. But recently, she expressed support for the Democratic nominee in where was it?
Ohio.
Tennessee.
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 That's where she's from.
And yeah, it's very, it goes back to our topic of celebrities in politics, but let's just talk about what she said exactly, because she wrote a long post on Instagram. If somebody can pull that up.
I'll bring it up. I've read it earlier.
She basically basically completely revealed that she is a Democrat, based on what she said in the post, which again, people are attacking her, right? But
So she has a very token. Did you want to read it?
Oh, I'm grabbing it. My connection's bad. If you
Okay.
want to,
I have it right here, so.
I just got it. But yeah, go for it.
It's a very token response. Is like, where is it here? In the past, I've been reluctant to publicly voice my political opinions. I feel very differently about that now. I always have and always will cast my vote based on which candidate will protect the fight for the human rights I believe we all deserve in this country. I believe in the classic 3. LGBTQ rights, any form of discrimination based on sexual orientation, or that gender is wrong. Or any discrimination on gender is wrong. I believe that the systemic racism we will see in this country towards people of color is terrifying, sickening, and prevalent. It's always interesting what they have to say, because although they're talking from a position of privilege, they need to voice their concerns. They need to address what they have to say.
So then the question is, I'll start with that. Should celebrities make their views public? Briar, what do you think?
I mean,
because we've seen this over, time and time again. At this point, every single award show is a political,
but
microphone.
If you think about it, everything you can't avoid politics. SNL, for instance, that's all politics. It's to make fun of it, and that's why it's so popular, because politics are happening. I mean, this is what's going on in the world. I think that celebrities have their platform. They have the right to say what they want, just as we do. So the same way you're saying this right now, your opinion is the same as she's doing it. I do kind of respect that she stayed out of it for so long, because obviously she has so much effect on people that she can change a vote, and that's as good as it is, it can also be bad. I don't think it's wrong though, because I agree with what she's supporting. I don't know much about the candidates and stuff, so I can't say I agree with who she wants to vote for, but I agree with what she supports. And if that's going to change someone's mind to agree with something like that, then it's not a bad thing. But yeah, I think they have the right to do it, and why not? Everyone else does it. It's just the same thing as athletes and all sorts of celebrities. Everyone says they should just stick to their sport, stick to what they do. But then if they don't do it, they get in trouble, and it's why aren't you saying anything? Why haven't you done this? You could change this. And it's I can't imagine the stress they're feeling of having this position, and everyone is just judging them if they say something and if they don't. So I think, whatever they feel, I don't hate for people expressing their opinion,
regardless of what it is.
Doesn't matter. I mean, well, yeah, because that's true. If someone were to say I don't support women, or I don't support gender equality, I don't support the right to whatever sexual orientation, or they do support racism or something like that, then no, I would not agree with that. But anyone who's just trying to spread kindness, and that's fine with me. If you're purposely sharing your opinion to start something and to get other people rattled up, and to get just to cause drama and have people say things. And no, but I think she really felt strongly about this, and to have it break her silence is nice. And it's not like she didn't say anything bad towards anyone. So I think that's good. It's a good role model for kids to know that there's someone who and it'll get more people voting regardless.
Here, I'll read Adam's thoughts
Yeah.
here. He says, it's so not genuine. You can't be silent for so long and then come out when it's convenient. People like Mark Ruffalo, Richard Gere, Shailene Woodley, Sarah Silverman have been active for so much of their life in the public eye. She has the right to be political, but the timing seems too convenient. And that's something that I really noticed is how many people are really turning on Taylor Swift, because even if they do agree with her or somewhat agree with her, that she only comes out now a month before the midterms.
That's fair.
And for me, in regards to the original question, should they share their views? I mean, sure, they're people too. Should we take their views seriously? Probably not. And that goes for anybody, even, Kanye, who I really do love the fact that he's gone all Trump, but should we take his views seriously? No.
No.
And same with folks
Shouldn't
like Mel
disrespect the future
Gibson
leader like that.
and other, who else is a conservative guy? Who's that
James
guy? James
Woods.
Woods. I was
Yeah.
just about to say him.
Yeah.
Like, really, are they that clever? No.
I think the issue is that it becomes very polarizing. Like, for example, I know people that like Kanye, and then as soon as he said that
They
he's
hate him now,
pro-Trump,
right?
they're just like, ew, So, like,
That's true.
because the response was, again, polarizing. Like, you have, for example, people that listen to Taylor Swift's music and that are Democrats, are like, yeah, I love her. And then you also have, like, I read that there are white supremacists who have, like, developed
just about to mention this.
a cult following
Yeah.
for her, and they, like, really love her.
She has a cult following among like the alt-right, so to
Yeah.
speak, and
You know what I mean?
because it started out as a joke because she was
she's very
so
white.
silent on her political views.
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably there are very few celebrities who have been as silent as her.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, she has never even let out a little inkling of what her political views are.
Yeah,
And
people
so
used to assume that
the
she was
joke
probably
was
a
the
Republican,
joke
right?
was that she was like this white supremacist, ultra racist, not just a racist, but ultra racist, like that kind of thing. And that was always so funny to see all these like fake quotes. Like it'd be like a Hitler quote on a picture of Taylor Swift and attribute it to Taylor Swift.
So that's what
That
I'm
might
saying.
be
that-
why she finally said
all
something.
those
She needed to
hilarious
adjust that.
jokes have to end now, unfortunately. And I guess it's like it's tough to have those quotes attributed to you, but nobody ever thought it was real, and that's why it was so funny. Nobody thought it was real.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the president's response now, because that's what I guess people knew it was coming after. You look at Kathy Griffin, you look at basically anybody that speaks out against him. He's just like, well, so his response, his exact response, basically, which was funny, but he said, I like Taylor Swift's music 25% less now. Right? And then he also said that, like, she doesn't know too much about it, about politics and whatever, but, like, he's going to say that about anybody that disagrees with him. But, is this expected? Like...
Yeah.
I would say it's probably like, if you really think about it, we can trace everything back to George Soros, who's the ultimate leader of the left. And for some reason, she paid, I'm being very conspiracy theory here, but probably paid her and her PR team millions and millions of dollars to advocate for the Democrats because they're the real racists, apparently. And I don't know. It's very hard to take this seriously just because,
you have,
I don't know, it's Taylor Swift.
But
Like-
Trump's response is the most Trump thing ever, and I love it. What a great response! Is I like her music 25% less now. It really sums up how I feel too. I never really liked Taylor Swift's music. Maybe
liked her older
maybe
stuff
the earlier
before.
stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't like when she was country. I like her
Really?
pop.
Oh no, I loved
I like the
our
country
song.
stuff.
Our song
And,
is
like,
the best.
Teardrops
song.
on My Guitar is
Yeah,
a
Teardrop.
classic.
Oh, those
But
are
you
good.
know what?
15.
I have to say,
15, that was good.
I like it 25% less now, and
Yeah. But like, what was his original percentage? Is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like 25% less, and like out of what? Like,
Who knows?
I think about it though, like I feel like, okay, Briar, give me an artist that you like.
that was tough. I like
Anyone.
the band The Beaches.
I told you about them.
Yeah,
my
yeah, your
mom taught
mom-
piano to
Yeah,
one
I
of the
love 'em.
people, Leandra.
Leandra,
So,
the pianist.
Yeah. So, see, it worked out. So, yeah, you know, let's say the Beaches came out and they said, you know, I mean, it's going to feel weird because especially my mom taught them. Hope she doesn't get upset, but whatever. But let's say they said something like very anti-Jewish or anti-LGBTQ, right? What would your reaction be? Would you stop listening to them, or would you be like, don't like it, but I'm still going to listen to them?
I would probably like them 25% less. But no, I would. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, you never really think about it until it's like you, because I'm not a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and it didn't really change my opinion or anything. I was just like, yeah, you go, girl. But again, it was very, very like, you know, planned and everything. Because that's the thing, right? Like, I think of it in terms of Celine Dion, right? Like, it did happen because for Donald Trump's inauguration, they actually called and asked if Celine Dion would perform, and she said no. And I think it was probably a good decision, right? Because she never gets political. I mean, like, okay, it comes to a point, like, she did perform for the Clintons, whatever, but like, that was because they were president, you know, he was president, whatever. But you know, even though, like, I think I'm more so dedicated to her than her political views, whatever, you know, like, if she came out and she said she was a Democrat, I don't think I would, you know, change my perspective on her. But if she said she doesn't like Jewish people, and you're Jewish, so would that change your opinion? Like, that means...
Imagine that bombshell, just
yeah,
Celine Dion
that'd be pretty
comes out on
yeah.
stage, just mic in hand, just goes, I do not like Jewish people.
Yeah.
And then goes on to perform.
Like, that's...
Well, I mean...
What would you do?
I just convert, really.
Yeah.
just to get away from that.
So Celine Trump's Judaism then, or
yeah,
Celine is God to me.
Okay, yeah.
So she is the Messiah.
So
you finally found her.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I know she doesn't hate Jews because
now
because you know Schwartz's in Montreal, the restaurant.
Yes,
Jewish owned. That's where Montreal smoked
meat
started.
There's a lot of Jewish in Montreal, though. Yeah,
a lot of Jewish in Montreal.
Jewish thing.
A lot of okay.
So a lot of Jewish people.
You heard it here first, folks.
A lot of Jewish.
No, but here's the thing. It was it is a Jewish owned place, right? And it was going to close down until her husband bought it and saved it. So
good old Renee.
You know
what did they sell? Sorry,
Montreal smoked meat.
So maybe she just like smoked meat.
He loved it. He loved it.
Oh.
And now because he passed away, like she holds the ownership. But like, you know, a couple years ago, she just went in there and just like bought everybody's meals.
Wow.
And then bought a bunch for, you know, poor people as well. So, you know, that's how I know she doesn't hate Jews.
Okay.
So,
but
I mean,
that's the thing.
That's
like,
what I'm gonna tell myself.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm sure she doesn't. But I'm just saying, like, what would you do? Do you still listen to her music? Like, her music might be great, but
you know, it's hard. It's hard to think about. You know,
do you think it's possible to separate the artist and the music?
Well, that's the question
Here's
the thing. That's the question that came up with Kevin Spacey when he was when he had all those sexual abuse. You know, that whole situation come up. People were just like, I can't deal with Kevin Spacey now, right? So it's really hard, you know, like some people say like, yes, you can separate it from the artist, and some people say no. I don't know.
I tried doing that
I think
too.
you can to a degree, but it gets to a point where you can't necessarily because like Kevin Spacey, that was, you know, straight up messed up what was going on with him, and now it's evading me what actually happened. I really can't remember.
It was a young boy.
Young boy, 13-year-olds, or 14,
and so
13,
It's like at that point, I don't want to continue to patronize him. I don't want to support him in any way. Not that I was ever a big Kevin Spacey fan. I think, what was that movie, The Usual Suspects? I never liked that movie. I know that's a really critically acclaimed film. I never liked that
It's just because of that twist. That's like
which I never got to the end. So
that's why you didn't like it.
Twist, the part
maybe I'll watch it one day and get to the end. But anyway, I don't know if I'd call them my favorite band anymore, but like AFI, if any of you ever heard of them, they had a big hit. They had a big hit in 2006 on Miss Murder. They have been my favorite band, or at least one of my favorite bands, since I was in grade 3. They've been on like an anti-Trump tour for like 2 years now. I don't care. I really do not care. With Canadian artists, it's tougher because like somebody like the Tragically Hip, which is one of my favorite bands of all time as well. Like they weren't really. They were political, but they weren't partisan necessarily. Like, you know, what's his name? Gord Downie was very pro-environmentalist, which I am as well, actually, which, you know, is nice. But he certainly wasn't conservative.
Wasn't he more political just through his music and not necessarily through the public eye?
He wasn't. His music wasn't political.
Oh, okay.
His music was like
So then it was
It
more
was just
than
Canadiana.
Cool. It was Canadian. It was like hockey. It was in a
Yeah,
ton
and
of
so
it. It was awesome.
he was certainly not a conservative. I wouldn't call him a liberal or a New Democrat necessarily, but he was certainly not a conservative.
Right.
It never bothered me. I still love the hip. I still think that
Yeah.
being a fan of the hip should be legally mandated by the government. And if you don't like the hip, you should have to
100%.
move to Buffalo forever.
No,
And
that's so
it's
true.
like I don't really
It's
care.
a fate
I
worse
can
than
separate.
death. Going to Buffalo.
So then, moving forward to our last topic, which is the Quebec elections. So, Marshall, as you mentioned, who won?
Yeah, I'll get you to say it properly for me after I butcher the pronunciation, but it's the CAQ,
Which is
Les Coalitions Avenir Québec.
Coalition Avenir Québec.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Which is
Celine
the
Dion
Coalition
taught him.
for Quebec's Future, I believe, is what that means.
Which word for l'avenue? What was
Avenue.
it?
L'avenir is future.
L'avenue.
Coalition, obviously.
Coalition, l'avenue.
And they're a right-wing party.
And Quebec is Quebec.
Yes. Often described as a center-right party, but only center-right in Quebec. And I was having a nice conversation with Elliot before about this, and I think people are going to be shocked at how right-wing the CAQ is, the Coalition Avenir Québec
Yeah,
is. Everything in Quebec is really shifted to the right. Not necessarily economically, but certainly socially.
Yeah.
They're all very nationalistic in Quebec, and that comes with certain...
It's very polarizing in comparison to
It is.
Ontario and stuff.
Even their ultra left wing party Solidaire Québec is like still pro niqab ban, and I guess that's not so much a right left thing as just a secular thing.
Yeah.
They're ultra secular.
And it's also, like you mentioned, like the Liberal Party in Quebec is far more right wing than the Liberal Party here.
Yeah, it's
true.
just like
Which is, I didn't know that.
you look at the Liberal Party in a lot of places, like the BC Liberal Party, the Quebec Liberal Party, the Nova Scotia Liberal Party. They aren't like a left wing party. They're like a slightly right of center, or maybe just center party. Like in BC, probably just center. In Nova Scotia, probably center. But in Quebec, the Liberal Party is like a slightly to the right of center party.
What we also were talking about before the show started, which actually let's come back to, but I want to talk about, Daniel, you brought it up, a significant amount of women were elected. You know, I think would you say what percentage?
Yeah, so we just had the election. Obviously, like, we would know that, but it's funny because like last election with Ontario, there was very big push to have lots of women being represented by Parliament. So like last year they made a record for the highest percentage of women in the Parliament in Canada. So
Like
last year was
you mean
30
the Canadian election, like the federal or the provincial?
for the provincial
Okay.
election. Yeah. So for provincial they had a total of 39.5% women like represented for Parliament, like this from this last election. With Ford's government winning, and now this time, the representation has increased to 41.6.
This is in Quebec.
Yeah, so this is the highest representation of women in Parliament, and it's very interesting to see that even though the party is very right wing, you don't see that type of gender discrimination in this election, like because they really want to get as many voters, and so it's very important to get women to come out to vote by having people who represent them. You know, so it's like
Briar, what's your take on this? How do you feel about so many women being represented?
I feel like it's about time, but also again, women, as long as it's equal, right? Like women can do things like anything, men can do anything. It's great. I think that they obviously deserved their spots. I don't want people to think, they're where they are because they are women. Like a lot of people are saying now with jobs, you're only getting it because you're a woman, which is like it's a little bit, it's like you'll never win. You're like, okay, I got a job, and it's like, well, you only got it because you're a woman, but then you don't get a job, it's like, oh well, you didn't get it because you're a woman.
Yeah.
And it's like, but
it's just not
whether
fair.
it has to come to the point where it's like you're qualified, you're not qualified. It's just what it is. So the fact that in Quebec they have that many women that are that good of whatever, leaders that great in what they do and can be there in that position, then that's great. And I think that maybe there are still, not maybe, there are women who are afraid or put back a little bit, sure. And I think that once we all start kind of realizing we're equal and just getting that support from both men and women, and a lot of the time it's women who do it to each other, and we put each other down and say like, you're not going to get it because you're a woman. But then there's also, we just need everyone to kind of be like, oh, we can all do it, and then you'll see a different change, and that will be closer to it, which will one day maybe be 50% each. So,
And this is like, again, I try to be as neutral as I can during the show. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But this is something that I'm really, really happy about. Because this wasn't mandated in the sense that, for example, Trudeau said, my cabinet is 50% men, 50% women.
Or in
Yeah.
Mexico, you
Yeah.
can't even run for office if there's already too many men running for office.
Like, you can't run as a man or a
Yeah,
woman?
so like let's
'Cause they
say
wanna
there's
have-
already too many men running, they cut off. the amount of
Wow,
men who
I
can
didn't
run
know that.
in one riding.
But that's what I'm saying. You know what? The fact that it wasn't, mandated, like, listen, I need this many women, this many men. The fact that women
People
just said,
decided.
people
Like,
decided
they
for
earned
themselves.
it, yeah.
They individually decided, I'm going to run. And, I don't know how they ran. I don't know if they ran, saying, look, I'm a woman, or look, I'm a dedicated candidate. I'm a good
Yeah.
candidate. That's what I want to see. That's what I like to see. And I'm really happy that 40% are women. And, this is like this view I'm about to say is controversial, but I think men and women have strengths in different areas. So
That's what I was gonna say,
a lot of the
actually.
time, I think that there are many, many aspects of life that women are better than men. Like, that's how I was raised. You know what I mean? Like, there's a saying, like, you give a woman a house, she's gonna make it a home. You know what I mean? Not in the sense that, like, not in a sexist way, like that she's gonna go and decorate and everything, but she's gonna make it comfortable, because that's how I feel, right? Like, the men and women are there to help each other out, and in life should
complement
be
each other, yeah.
exactly, they should be
It's like
treated
yin and yang.
Yeah.
yeah. And in life they're there and they should be treated equally, but there are just some things that either sex is going to be better at. Like, I think a mother to a child is going to be way better than a father to a child, in the sense that, like, women are just generally more nurturing, biologically speaking. So anyway, back to the election. I don't know, Briar, what's your take on that? Like what I just said?
Oh, I mean, well, I'm biased because I love my mom, and because
Oh, I
Yeah.
do too. No, that's not.
you love my mom.
No,
Yeah,
sure.
everyone-
Well, she raised you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. But no. I love my mom because she's done so much. Because my dad hasn't really been in the picture since I was 4, so it's like I see that. But I also have friends whose dads took over, whether their mothers passed away and
for
were forced
sure.
to, or and stuff. And I think as long as in that case it's a parent, as long as your parent can do this. But yeah, a baby is breastfed, and only a
Exactly.
mother can do that. Only
Yeah.
a mother can actually carry the child and give birth to them.
And that's
So
something very
that's only
special.
a woman,
Yeah.
can do. And it's kind of like, just because of that, there's there's things that obviously men can't do and women can, but then there's things that men can do.
Yeah.
Like get away with everything. No, I'm just kidding. That's only white men. No. But no. That there's things that men can do as well, and I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's sports. I mean, I'm such a big fan of sports, and I get the difference between the physique of a man and a woman, and I know that if it's a game of skill, possibly tennis or something, there has been a match, man and woman, but it's kind of like we can test out some stuff there for equality, but that's like sports, so that's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
I just think that men and women are different, but both great in their own ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the best way to
And
put
no,
it.
I agree with that. Like, many times, the mother's not in the picture and the father is the better option, right? But again, back to just what you said, like, nurture, like breastfeeding, giving birth to, caring for in the weeks that the child is born. And you know what? I'm very pro, working women, women in politics and women in, daily life, because I think that they have an incredibly unique perspective, and they can, make change. Like, for example, in Ontario, the Attorney General is Carolyn Mulroney, right? And I love her brother, Ben Mulroney, on E-Talk. He's great. And, I think she's a good person for the position.
Yeah. They're a great family.
Yeah.
The whole family. I love them.
I especially like them. And again, I have to bring it up because Brian Mulroney, former Prime Minister, and his wife went to Renee Angelil's funeral, Celine Dion's husband. So
And their kids were in
Well,
part of Meghan
didn't-
Markle.
yeah.
Didn't Justin Trudeau also go to that funeral?
No, his wife did. He didn't even show up.
Oh.
So I was like, okay.
I see.
see.
Is her
I see.
her name's Stephanie?
I think so.
Something like that.
Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. Sorry,
Yeah.
but I just
Yeah,
But-
wow,
but-
yeah, I don't even know what it is. No, it's Sophie.
Sophie
Sophie.
Kagwa-Fudo, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but circling back to women in politics, what does this say? You know, is there going to be an even bigger rise of women in politics?
Well, looking down more into the article, there's, I forget what's the name of the person that wants to do this. I don't know. Oh, hold on. Some in Quebec, I don't know, but someone in Quebec apparently is trying to lobby that, like, trying to create a law to force parties to have 50% representation for women candidates, like for their parties. I would think that would actually be counterproductive to what's
I
actually
agree.
happening, because if you're
It's
if you're gonna
patronizing.
you're just gonna make a woman just to run just because she has to, then like
not only that, but then
I would
men
wa-
are going to see that and say, like, oh, you're only there because
Yeah, exactly.
you're
Yeah.
allowed to be, because you have to be. It's like we're given this, but we can earn
I
it
were-
on our own.
if I wanted to vote on a female candidate, on a woman for a candidate, I would want to vote on her for her policies.
merits,
This
yeah.
is
As
not
would
because
I
I was like, oh, she's definitely female. And
Yeah, like,
she has my
that's-
vote.
no, that's
a
the
very
thing.
arbitrary way of thinking, right? So it's
And
like,
that's go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and maybe one day, like, with this, like, seeing these numbers is great, and that will maybe empower women to go out and be like, hey, I can do this as well. This is something I have been able to do. But if we're always, I mean, we're not always given things, but I mean, like, if it's just like, okay, it has to be 50%, or you have to, like, it's like when you're a kid and you go to like a birthday party and your sibling tags along and they're like, oh, well, they have to come because it's your sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, why don't they get invited?
Yeah,
Because they're a
exactly.
fun person. Then that's different. So, like, I think that, yeah, like,
And then
I
people start
believe
to
in
not
women.
want the sibling there.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want the sibling because you're like, well, they're only here because your mom made them
Yeah.
and whatever. And it's like, yeah, I want women to earn this, and I know we can, and I know it's very possible. And seeing these stats is very promising.
And that goes back to Taylor Swift, because she said, as much as I support women, like, some things just doesn't work out. Like, she's not voting for the person, the Republican candidate who's a woman. She's voting for the male candidate who's a Democrat, not because she's a woman, but because of the principles, right? And that's how I think things should work. So we got a couple minutes left, but that basically wraps up our weekly recap. There's a couple more things we wanted to mention. Marshall, let's start with the poll. So the poll from last week, which we asked people, are you pro or against the legalization of marijuana in Canada? And what are the results, Marshall?
We've got the results just loading right here. It's 72% for and 28% against.
And how many respondents?
136 votes.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Pretty solid. I think a lot of my favorite Twitter celebrities don't even get that many votes on their polls. So, we're doing pretty well. And I think that's interesting. I think that there is clearly a significant amount of people who are against it. And most people who watch our show are young people. So young people who are against it, obviously quite a significant majority, a super majority, who are for it. But it definitely is interesting the amount of people who are against it. I wouldn't have expected it to be that high,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, it just shows that it's not a clear-cut issue, which is good to hear, though, because it shouldn't be.
And there was another piece of news that just broke today, about an hour ago, I guess, is that Nikki Haley resigned from Trump's administration.
Bum,
And
bum, bum.
I'm pretty
She was-
pleased with that.
And she was, for our viewers who don't know.
The ambassador to the UN for the US, to the United Nations.
And did they say why she resigned?
She didn't say anything yet, as of the
She
story
just
breaking.
put the word
She
in.
just-
That's it.
yeah. Which is very interesting, because
We'll definitely talk about that. And
yeah.
See what unfolds
we'll probably,
for next
we'll
episode.
probably talk about next week.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, last thing, Briar, I wanted to hear your opinion on the marijuana thing, because we didn't have you last week. We got like 30 seconds left.
You know what? Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Let's
Let's
just
just do it.
blaze
Yeah.
it. Let's
Blaze
just
it
Just
420.
blaze it
blaze
420.
it. Yeah, why not? I don't mind. Whatever you can. It's not hurting anyone. I mean, obviously anything can hurt someone. So cigarettes are legal, and I feel
Yeah.
like those are worse personally. So go for
Yeah.
it.
Well, that was our show for this week. Thank you, Briar, for filling in for Adam.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate you having on, and hopefully we'll have you on again in the future. We've had you on twice already, so this is the
Yeah,
third time.
Third time.
Isn't it
Yeah.
the
Nice trifecta, right?
Oh yeah, that's a third.
Yeah.
Because we had you, on the phone asking what Daniel's wearing the
Yes.
first time for
Right.
comedy,
Yeah.
and then we had you on for the minimum wage, which
Yes.
was also a great episode.
Ugh.
But that was our show for this week. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and that messaged us live. A brand new episode of the Raben Report will be coming to you next week, same day, same time, same people. Have a great
Well,
day, everyone.
Maybe not me. Bye.